picked a quarrel with me, and his son accused me of being a witch. Later, the people in the village took me to the Gambaga witch camp. They performed rituals which showed I was not a witch, so I came back to the village. The boy came to attack me at home. He was aiming for my neck, but I blocked it with my hand and he chopped it off. He fled, and to date, the police say they can't find him. I was home alone. I was cooking when someone charged at me. He was aiming for my neck, but I saw it fast enough and instinctively blocked it with my hand. So my hand got chopped off.
That is the story of Asibi, a 40-year-old woman who is a resident of Sakogu in the northeast region of Ghana. For the past 8 years, she has been living without one hand. Her woes started when a young man accused her of being a witch. Asibi said a lady in her community picked a quarrel with her, and subsequently, the lady's son accused her of being a witch. Asibi took the accusation lightly, but realized the seriousness of the allegation when people in the community sent her to the witch camp in Gambaga to test whether she was a witch or not. The way a chicken died would determine her fate and the entire course of her life. In northern Ghana, when you are accused of witchcraft, you have to bear the full cost of the ritual. So Asibi took care of the full cost, and the ritual confirmed that she was not guilty.
I was scared of witchcraft allegations. The fowl said I was not guilty. The chief then asked me to go back to Sakogu and ordered that we use dialogue to settle our differences.
Asibi, who was 8 months pregnant, said she thought she was free, but the young man had other plans.
I was home alone. I was cooking when someone charged at me. He was aiming for my neck. He tried to cut it off with a machete, but I saw it fast enough and instinctively blocked it with my hand. So my hand got chopped off. He then fled. To date, the police say they can't find him.
Asibi was left broken.
As soon as we say you are a witch, even small children can beat you. They can do anything to you, nobody cares.
She had now mastered ways of living independently and taking care of her son. Her husband also traveled to southern Ghana and never gets in touch with her. She feels pains when the remaining hand is not covered. She cooks and does many other chores with one hand. She feels the young man who chopped off her hand had stolen her joy in life.
Good afternoon and welcome to The Law. And sorry that this afternoon we bring these very bad and harrowing pictures to you. It's surprising what fellow humans can do to their fellow humans. And as men who just finished the news at before 2, and in signing out, he mentioned my name. He said, Anyen. So I cautioned him. Did he mean to call me Anyen? As in to say I'm a witch or a wizard? Well, soon you may get into serious trouble if you name, label, indicate, declare someone a witch or wizard. You go to jail for claiming to be a witch finder or witch doctor. You could spend 3 years for imputing that witchcraft cause death, injury, calamity, or for accusing someone of witchcraft, you're in big trouble. And there's big trouble for chiefs and other community leaders who encourage, facilitate, or don't report the hellish evil done strangely to only poor, uneducated, vulnerable women in the name of punishing or exorcising witchcraft. The Honorable MP for Medina, Francis Xavier Sosu, and 2 others are sponsoring a bill to amend the Criminal Offences Act to ensure that if you accuse someone of being a witch, if you accuse someone of being a wizard, you stand the risk of going to jail. Yes, you may be a prophet or whatever you call yourself, that all you know is to look at poor, vulnerable people and call them witches, or tell people it is witches. They are old moms, mothers who gave birth to them and didn't harm them until they grew up and made money that is haunting them. You could be in trouble for such reckless prophecies and conduct that get some of these people killed. Welcome to the law. It is your legal light and it is your help law. My guest this afternoon, Francis Xavier Kojo Sosu. He's a lawyer and MP for Medina. Also here in the studio is Professor John Azuma. He's Executive Director, the Sene Institute. They've been doing a lot of work to help people in such difficulty. Welcome, Prof, and welcome, Francis.
Thank you.
Yes, Francis, please unmute. Francis is joining us via Zoom outside of the country, and we want to get him clear so that we can begin. Hello, Francis. Okay, all right. So let me begin with you, Prof. At the Sene Institute, I've heard a lot about you. Anytime matters like this, people who have been flogged, who have been taken to witches' camps, and all these injustices being done to them, and I have to research to do a discussion. Immediately I begin my research, your name comes up. So what do you say about the prospects of a bill in the nature of what we see?
Thank you, my brother Samson, for having me, and thank you, my brother Francis, also for taking this issue up. We have done a lot of work in this area, as you said, and we petitioned the former Speaker of Parliament back in 2020 for Parliament to consider this bill. And I am so gladdened that some of the MPs have taken it upon themselves, especially the Honorable MP of Medina and my own MP from Pusiga and another MP from the Wa area, that they have taken this matter up. It is a very serious case. These are allegations that are damaging, that destroy people's livelihood and destroy people's lives, and they are so flippantly made, and they are so carelessly made, and they are so recklessly made. And I think we've tried to do education, we've tried to do sensitization, but we believe strongly that legislation will be one of the biggest tools and weapons that we need to fight this dangerous social menace that is targeting our most vulnerable mothers and sisters and aunties.
Thank you very much. Francis, do we have Francis back? Okay, so we're trying to re-establish contact with Francis Xavier Sosu. He is presently not in the jurisdiction, and so we understand the circumstance that he may be in. And Francis Xavier Sosu, who is a lawyer and MP for Medina, is joining forces with Honorable Hadia Ladi Ayamba and Honorable Dr. Godfrey Seidu Jessal to introduce a private member's bill to prohibit the practice of witch doctors. And among other things, the intended legislation will ban or prohibit accusations, naming, indications, labeling, and declaring a person as a witch or a wizard. Thank you for joining us back, Francis. Okay, we understand that his line just dropped again. Okay, so if you don't want us to have this show, we can assure you that we will have it. Because I guess you understand my joke. We're talking about what? Witches and wizards. Anyway, so tell us, through Jojo Kobina's work, and I know behind the scenes you have provided a lot of insight into what goes on. What does it tell you of the enormity of this injustice that people suffer, particularly in our villages? Somebody says, we feel this guy is a witch, or this person is a witch, or this person is a wizard. And to be frank, often it's a woman. Mm-hmm. It's a girl, say a witch. Mm-hmm. And that's the beginning of their end. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that is the most frightening part. We have done research. We have visited all of the camps in the north. I have sat with the women, the accused women. I have sat with the traditional priests who perform the rituals. I have met with some of the chiefs. We've spoken to them. We've made all kinds of petitions to various government agencies. And my brother, as you said, it is so serious. A lot of work has been done in the past. It's all been... And just last year, when the 90-year-old lady was killed, a big conference was convened at Kempinski with a lot of chiefs that were flown in from different parts of the country. People read statement after statement. A lot of NGOs are doing a lot of work in this area, but nothing is changing. Our research shows that there's a lot of increase in accusations. The populations in the witch camps are increasing. So we feel like something radical has to be done.
Populations in the witch camps are increasing in this day and time.
In this day and time. And if we continue doing what we've been doing, that when there is an item of witchcraft news in the news, then politicians are running to the camps, then past churches are running there to give some relief aid, and then everybody goes back to normal as usual until there's the next lynching or attack again. And that is what we committed, that we are not going to wait for the next attack. Okay. We are going to commit our time and our energies to fighting this menace. And we want to bring our lawmakers on board because we believe strongly that these women are the most vulnerable in society. And any civilized society, one of the big marks is how you protect your most vulnerable.
Right.
If you don't protect your most vulnerable, it means that we live in the Stone Ages, where we believe in the survival of the fittest. The most vulnerable are those who are in the camps. They are women, they are older, they are poor, and they are those, there are men who are also accused of witchcraft. But it is always the women who are attacked physically. It is only women who are maimed. This woman that you just showed, Asibi, she is in the camp with a lost limb. She knows her attackers. All the women in the camp, we've met them, they've got scars, physical scars, very terrible scars on their bodies. Not to talk of the emotional and the mental scars. They know those who have inflicted these pains on them. They are roaming free in the villages. No one is touching them. That is where the problem is. The problem is the impunity. And that is what the law will address.
I'm also interested in knowing, beyond these things, what else does the Senate Institute do? You give us a brief about that, and then we'll go back to the question of when you brought this to the attention of the former speaker, and why we didn't see so much, you know, and now that we're beginning to see activation because of Francis Sosu and his friends. Is Francis back with us?
I can be heard now.
Great, great. Francis, we can hear you. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Samson, and a very good afternoon to your cherished viewers.
Right. Now, before we start, you're doing a very honorable thing, and you deserve all the, as it were, encouragement and applause for and support for this kind of work. Using private members' bill, we see that this will not be the first that you are attempting to do. This will be like the second or third that you have brought up already, and we have heard you whisper that there are a number more that you intend to do. Private members' bills. How easy is this path in correcting some of the ills in society?
Thank you very much, Samson. I would say that I don't consider it to be a very easy path, but I believe that no matter how difficult it is, most of the things that we are complaining about, or most of the ills or the gaps that we seek to correct using private members' bill, are things that many people relate to. Actually, this is the fourth one that I've been working on. I began with the Compensations Act, then the abolition of death penalty, then the one
Ghana School of Law
intended. We have this, which I think that it's an innovation and it's something that we all need to embrace. If we really need to go forward as a society, this is a platform that any ill in the society at all can be addressed with through law. And so I am hopeful that for each of all these bills, our colleagues in the House, and already many of them have reached out in most of the bills that I'm championing. And I'm very hopeful that a lot of them sooner will be passing to address some of these ills.
Right. Thank you very much. And so what's the idea? You have been a known human rights, lawyer before you became an MP. So you are taking this kind of rights activism into the parliamentary chamber to work not just for your constituents, but for the entire nation. Is that the idea?
Yeah, something I believe that is the idea, and I think that is one of the motivations of getting into politics, because working as a human rights lawyer and activist, you would realize that there are many times that you have challenges and limitations, and you believe that these challenges can only be addressed through legislation. And so if you do not find yourself in a place where you have the opportunity to either co-sponsor or join others and advocate for those pieces of legislation, then we wouldn't be doing much to our society. And so for most of these things that we've been doing, you recall me championing some cases for people who are wrongfully detained and all that. Yeah. The kind of compensations they get sometimes clearly were nothing to write home about. So you can use piece of legislation to correct that. And that cut across almost all these areas of campaigning against the penalty, and all the issues with the law school and the issues and then the complaints that many of us have had about even the structure and the composition of General Legal Counsel, and the fact that the clearest separation of power that we are supposed to have so that you can promote accountability of every institution is not clearly there. So these are pieces of legislation that are aimed at actually correcting these ills so that Ghana can become more progressive. Okay.
Now let's get to your motivation for joining, forces with the Senate Institute and your colleague MPs to push this particular bill. But I will be making a mistake because I saw you earlier today when I was trying to look out to be sure that you are ready for this show, and I saw you pictures of you receiving some award out of the country. Congratulations. But which award is this?
Thank you very much, Samson. It is the Africa Human Rights Leadership Award.
And this was announced a couple of months ago, right?
That is so.
Right.
That is so. And it's an award that is named after Tim Boas. Tim Boas is one of the top, let's say, constitutional and human rights lawyers here in the U.S., based in California. And he's been working with a number of researchers in the UN, and they came up with this project through the Jacob Abbey Institute of Leadership. And I wasn't the only recipient. There were other people from other African countries and others from the US here. So it's just in recognition of some of the human rights works that I've been doing through the Youth for Human Rights Africa, Lab Justice International, which deals with child slavery matters, and of course the general activism as a human rights activist. And then, of course, they also recognize the fact that as a young and uprising or as a young and upcoming leader, these types of awards would just kind of encourage and reinforce some of the values that we have, which is service above self. And so essentially these are the reasons why that award was given last night.
Yeah, so what's the name of the award again?
It's the Tim Boas Africa Human Rights Award.
Okay, congratulations once again, Francis.
Yeah, thank you very much, Samson.
Right, so now tell us, what's your motivation for joining forces with the Senate Institute and your other colleagues to push for this bill about witches and witchcraft?
Something I'm motivated by a number of things. I'm sure for many who followed my life story, you would realize that I have also been, if you like, a victim of, if I say voodoo practice. If you look carefully into my face, you would see marks. And these are, I mean, it's like marks. You see like 1111 all over my face. And these are voodoo marks. They are marks from the shrine. And these are shrines from which my mother and, of course, my dad were all victims of, through the Trokoshi system. And these are part of religious beliefs and practices that are inimical to the human being, reduces people's confidence, is unable to, promote, growth in people. And particularly when it comes to the accusation of witchcraft, it's one of the most, deplorable situations you can ever have in our cultural setting. And not only is it in our cultural practices and beliefs, but this has actually grown into even religious beliefs. And we have a number of people who may call themselves prophets and pastors and witch doctors, and they may not necessarily be traditional practitioners. But these are people who are all over the place. Some are clear charlatans, but who go about playing on the mentality and emotions of people, and so on and so forth. So I believe that if we are going to promote the rights of women, particularly the most vulnerable in our society, if we can uphold the UN Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women, if we can promote the Convention on Elimination of Torture and Dehumanizing Treatment, if we can promote our Constitution, particularly Article 15, that says that the dignity of man is inviolable, then we would need a piece of legislation that will criminalize this conduct once and for all. And looking at what happened last year, we all follow the story of Abner Denta, who suffered, a very terrible death on account of accusation of witchcraft.
That's right.
And this happens almost everywhere. Sometimes even in our schools. I remember that when we were growing up in some of our basic schools, sometimes a teacher will come and just look at someone and say, you're a witch or you're a wizard. And sometimes it has all kinds of implications on children and the people who are accused as witches. I believe as a Christian that in the Bible, I've seen witches in the Bible, or quotations in the Bible that talks about witches or witchcraft. But that is a spiritual state. So if you believe somebody is a witch or a wizard, go deal with the person spiritually. You cannot physically accuse the person and subject the person to all kinds of dehumanizing treatment. If you do so, then you would be violating the law if this bill passes.
So you have referred, for example, to Article 15 of the 1992 Constitution. For the benefit of our audience, let me read what it says. Article 15 says that the dignity of all persons shall be inviolable. No person shall, whether or not he is arrested, restricted, or detained, be subjected to torture or other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. Any other condition that detracts or is likely to detract from his dignity and worth as a human being. So if our Constitution says that no person, even where they are accused of an offense and have been arrested, they have been restricted, or they have been detained, they should never be subjected to torture, cruel or inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment, or any other condition that will detract or is likely to detract from their dignity and worth as a human being. If this is already in our Constitution, why do we need a specific other law to take care of a situation like this?
Thank you again, Samson. I think that, again, when you go to Article 19(5) of the Constitution, it says that you cannot punish somebody for an offense if that offense is not clearly defined and penalties prescribed for those offenses.
That's right.
So the Constitution, which is the mother law of the land, gives us a broad policy framework within which we are supposed to work. But despite this broad framework, we are all aware that many people have taken the law into their own hands and subjecting people to all kinds of dehumanizing treatment. In fact, even in some churches, people can be caned and lashed merely because they've been accused of being witches. And so it also applies to some of these witch camps. So in order to hold people accountable for their conduct in the way they treat people are alleged to be witches, or even go ahead and allege that they are witches, then we need a piece of legislation that makes that very clear. Now, when you look at the current Criminal and Other Offences Act, and you look carefully at Section 316, Section 316 provides for trial by ordeal. In other words, if you use any form of coercion to attempt to try somebody or try to elicit like responses from someone, like it usually happens in our traditional settings. You say, talk true or speak the truth. You did it, or like the picture that was painted by the documentary with the witch doctors. You see that that's clearly a form of trial by ordeal. So this amendment is expanding that provision to criminalize the accusation of witchcraft and any form of attempt to punish people who are deemed or who are accused to be witches.
Okay. We'll return to you to go into the details of this bill for the amendment of that particular provision and the detailed manner in which it is couched. So you help us to understand why it has to be in the form that it appears. Because as it appears, if I just open my mouth and I call somebody a witch, I am potentially going to go to jail for a maximum 3 years if the bill is passed in the form that it is. If I just get up, accuse anybody, you are a witch, you're a wizard, or I suggest that something that has happened to someone, some misfortune, some calamity that has happened is as a result of witchcraft, then I will be in trouble. It looks detailed, though brief. We'll get you to explain that to us. But Prof, I was asking earlier, is this all the Senate Institute you do? Because it does appear, once your name is Googled up, we'll Google some of these things up, your name comes up.
Not really. We do a lot of things. We are a research institute.
Okay.
We research into issues that are at the intersection of religion and society.
Okay.
So it's not just witchcraft. We do things like religion and mental health, religion and corruption. We are doing a project on religion and democracy. We do a lot of work on interfaith Christian-Muslim conversations. So that is a lot of, so witchcraft just happens to be one of the topics that we picked up because of what happened last year. But talking about the legislation and all of that, Samson, all the treatment that the Constitution talks about, even Article 14 of the Constitution talks about every person shall be entitled to their personal liberty and freedom.
Right.
These women don't have that. There are a lot of these things in the Constitution, Article 14, 15, 17, 18, 26, 39. I have done all my research on these areas. And the problem is that these are all there. The other side of it is that it is the accusations that lead to all of this. Without accusation, the women will not be put through this. So if we don't have a bill addressing the accusation part, and you are tackling this, you are simply tackling the kind of symptoms and not the root causes. That is why a bill addressing the accusation is so important.
And there's something that's curious to me. Francis just told us about his background, and people will be shocked to hear, and they would be able to properly connect why he's passionate about it. So he is coming from the Volta region. Then you have the honorable member for Pusiga, Hajia Ladi Ayamba. And then you have the honorable member for Wow East. That is Honorable Dr. Godfred Seidu Jesal. Does it appear these are the places where these things happen? And that is why these are the MPs who are seeking to lead it?
Not really. Witchcraft accusation is nationwide. It's an Africa-wide, a lot of it in Africa and Asia. And so it is not just peculiar to Ghana, let alone the northern part. But when it comes to the camps, it is only in the northern part. And even in the northern part, it's only in two regions, the northeast and the northern regions. That's where the camps are. So we are getting the attention from these MPs because anytime, as you said, witchcraft is mentioned in Ghana, all that people think about is the north. Even though people accuse women and all different types of people in Ghana, in southern Ghana, across, even in churches, we know that.
In churches, a lot happens in southern Ghana.
Yes. So, but if you go up north, exactly. And if you go up north, it's the shrines. That's where the shrines are of witchcraft. And as I said, and as Francis said, these shrines, a lot of things go on there. That is where you go and you are detected, you are labeled, or you are exonerated. So the shrines are themselves witch hunting grounds. And the shrine priests are themselves witch hunters. And so we should not even be talking about the north alone. But the accusation is to cover all of the country. Because when it was in Europe, for more than 300 years, the way they addressed it was through legislation. They came up with a legislation criminalizing it before they used the legislation to embark on education.
So we are not seeking to do anything new?
No.
I see.
No.
I see. Right. So, Francis, the law appears to be so wide. It looks like that song we sang in Sunday school, God's love. You know, you can't get over it, you can't get under it. You know, it's so wide. It catches you at every point. If you accuse, if you name, if you make an indication, if you label, if you declare a person as a witch, and the law defines witch to include wizard. If you use any unnatural means to administer a substance or supply any test, apply any test whatsoever to another person as the perpetrator of an alleged crime or any other, you know, if you are advising, if you are sitting there and watching these things to happen, you know, it's so wide. If you threaten to accuse, you have not accused, you are threatening to accuse, you are in trouble. Why is it like this? Yes, Francis. Okay, we just, Francis's line just dropped. But Prof is more than competent to give us an idea why this law is as monstrous as it looks.
Thank you. And I agree with you. It's quite expansive. It's quite all-embracing. That is because, as you are a lawyer, I am a mere researcher. And what we know is that you lawyers will always find a loophole. Wherever you can find a crack, you will exploit that. That is how you are trained. And so what this law is trying to do is to close as much of the loopholes as possible. Because we are dealing with a phenomenon that is devastating. The moment you are labeled a witch, your life comes to a stop. And it's not just you, your children, your children's children, your livelihood, your life ceases. You are just merely existing. You are ridiculed, you are stigmatized, and you are excluded. You are kind of ostracized. So all of these things, because of the damaging nature of the situation, the phenomenon we are dealing with, which is witchcraft, we need a law that is just as expansive, that will cover this and leave little or no loopholes for people to find their ways around it.
Yes, Francis is back. Francis, why? This law looks so monstrous.
Yes, something. It's necessary that the law will look monstrous because of the nature of the accusation of witchcraft. Then, secondly, you and I know very well that, particularly when it's a criminal offense, you require the actus reus and then you require the mens rea. And so, even though it looks monstrous, we all know that it is not the mere, playful, conversational accusation or referral of a person as, if anything, you are a witch, and I say, if anything, before, and I say, even in Ghanaian parlance, people actually insult people as, oh, you are a witch, like in that context.
Right.
But the context of the law has to do with people whose accusation actually leads to the kind of dehumanizing treatment that we have currently to women, particularly in witch camps. So even though it looks very expansive, we believe that it will fulfill the purpose for which it is intended, which is to nip this issue of witchcraft accusation and punishment in the back once and for all.
So I'm looking at it, and the way I look at it, it simply says prohibition of witchcraft, accusation, prohibition of accusation. So if you accuse, you name, you give an indication, you label, or you declare a person as a witch, then potentially you could go to jail for 2 years or maximum 5 years. I understand where you are talking about encouragement of an offense under this situation, where you say a chief or a headman of a community who directly or indirectly permits, promotes, encourages, or facilitates the commission of such offenses, or who becomes aware of such an act and fails to report it to the police, also commit an offense and may go to jail for not less than 2 years and not more than 5 years. But the point of threatening to accuse, because that is also there. If you threaten to accuse, if you simply accuse, you indicate, you declare, or you label, that means it's going to be really, really difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, Samson, it will be. But let me quickly add that the draft as it is yet to be laid. It's very, very important that I make that very clear. And then it will definitely be referred to the committee on which I serve. There is a Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee.
All right.
That will give us an opportunity for a broader consideration before it will come back to the House, where we will now do clause-by-clause consideration. Right. So it's entirely possible that there would be some forms of modification of some of the provision as they currently are. It's entirely possible that even for some of the penalties, there will be some form of modification. Right. But as it is now, this is the proposal because of based on the research findings that we have, and based on the information we have now, we believe that it should be this expansive. But I concede that it is entirely possible that by the time it goes through the process, some of these clauses may be reworded or rephrased, and that would, another purpose for which this bill is being proposed.
Okay, thank you so very much for that explanation. And already when we advertised that we're going to do this discussion, there were many questions that came in, and I want you to begin to address one of them, even as we open the opportunity for people to join us very briefly. We can give you some 5 minutes opportunity to join us to ask your questions to the Honorable MP for Medina, and also Professor Azuma, who is with the Senate Institute. Now, someone asked the question, and this is a doctor, medical doctor. He said, is this to suggest that that belief is wrong? It doesn't exist at all, that there are witches and wizards?
Now, that's a very important question. We are not attacking the belief. We all have belief systems, and nobody's attacking the belief. As you mentioned earlier, witchcraft is mentioned in the Bible, but you have to understand what that is all about. Now, we are not going after the belief system. We are going after the consequences and how people act out this belief. If I'm Roman and I believe that witches exist, and I want to protect myself in my prayers, in my private house, have my prayers to protect myself from witches, that is your right. If, however, you go out of your belief and say that I dreamt and I saw something in my dream chasing me or having an argument with me, and because of that, Samson is a witch and is seeking to harm me, knowing that you have put Samson's life in jeopardy, you have made Samson a public ridicule, you have dehumanized him. He's no longer human. When you are declared a witch, you are now an agent of the devil. So it is dehumanizing the person.
In some communities, once you come out with that claim that you saw me in your dream and I did this and therefore I'm a wizard, you have set me up to be killed.
Exactly. And you can be attacked. You can be thrown out. You can lose your family. Your wife may leave you. Your husband may leave you because of the stigma. So it has broken families, it has broken lives, it has killed people. So it's not about the belief. It's about the process through which you go to label, identify somebody as a witch. Slaughtering a chicken, and your life depends on the way the chicken falls down. Something is very dangerous. So we are not talking about the belief. We are talking about the modus operandi, the mechanisms through which people are labeled and accused. That is where the problem, because it's so subjective. It is, you can't subject it to any rational, empirical testing.
That's why
that's
why in the court these things are not accepted.
And that is why the court doesn't accept these things,
Right.
because you can't prove it empirically. And I cannot exonerate myself. If you say you saw me in your dream, how can I exonerate myself that I wasn't in your dream?
Okay.
Only you saw that. So it is impossible. And we also know, even when we were talking to the priests, the traditional priests in the camps, they told us that, Prof, a lot of these accusations are false. It's coming from envy, it's coming from malice, so people can abuse it.
The girl in Jojo's story talks about talking in her sleep.
Exactly.
And that is what makes her a witch.
And this is a sleep disorder, and we all know it. How many people listening now don't speak in their sleep? How many people, do you know how many people even sleepwalk?
Yes.
People are walking and sleeping. It is a sleep disorder. So if you use that and identify a poor 12-year-old girl as a witch, and they beat this girl to pulp, this is what we are talking about. You cannot use those kinds of methods to damage people.
But you are saying the whole thing begins from the accusation.
Absolutely.
Therefore, don't even threaten to accuse the person of being a witch.
Exactly. Because if the moment the accusation is made, you are left.
It triggers
all
the
kinds of
potential danger.
Exactly. And so, and it's the accusers who have all the power now.
Okay.
Because when the accuser accuses you, all the community, even when you are exonerated at the camp, at the shrine, they will still say they don't trust the verdict. We don't trust you. You can't come back home. So all the power now is with the accusers. But what this bill would do is to take out that power from the hands of the accusers into the hands of the accused. So they can use it to fight
the
it.
typical thing, you respond to this, and I get Francis to also share his view on it, because he mentioned it earlier. A bit of emphasis is on, you know, the traditionals in shrine and all of these things. But in the church, even with imams and malams, when they pronounce people that I'm seeing a vision, and your plan to travel abroad, the reason you have been rejected, you know, so many times, you didn't get a visa, is because your grandmother or your mother is doing ABC to you. Where will that feature in this law?
That is where we are. Sometimes the soothsayers and the priests, they are very clever. What they will say is that there's somebody in your house who is causing this. It's a woman. She may be fair-colored. She may be that. She may be an old. They will give you a general description. It's left to you now to go and figure out who that person is. That is what even the soothsayers do. They don't name people by name. They will give you a general description. It's coming from here. It's coming from your home, maybe from your mother's side, maybe from your father's side. And then you will have to come out and figure out.
No, as for the pastors,
the pastors can name.
They name, they tell you.
And that is where, when you name somebody, you are fallen foul of the law.
Okay.
And that is why we are very keen that the naming, the labeling is what the law is seeking to criminalize.
Okay. Right. So, as I said, my technical people are standing here, and they are so excited, like many people are, about this law. So, Francis, I was asking, from your perspective as a practitioner of the law, where do these people, pastors and prophets, and the manner in which they go about this, where do they stand as far as this law is concerned? If this bill, if it becomes law, is concerned?
Well, if it becomes law, it means that somebody of a witch. And like I said earlier on, witchcraft is a spirit. So if you believe that somebody is a witch, however you conceive that, go ahead and deal with it spiritually. You cannot physically accuse people of being witches and then subject them to all the attendant, I'll call mistreatment on account of that accusation. So that is how I'll just put it, that on account of this bill, if it passed in the manner in which it is right now, you cannot use your pulpit to be accusing people of being witches.
Let me take a couple of questions for you. Ebenezer in Tema and Boateng from Ahafo. Ebenezer, what's your question?
Good afternoon to your panelists. I want to ask, what would happen to the witchcraft camp, especially the one at Gambaga? What will happen to those camps?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Boateng in Ahafo, what's your question?
My question is, when does education take place? Is it before the bill is passed to an act of parliament or after? I want to know, because a lot of the rural folks are not even aware of things like this, so that they can also make some suggestions. So I want to know, when does actual education takes place? Is it before or after it has become an act of parliament? Thank you very much. It
starts right now. And when it is tabled in parliament, the committee will also invite memoranda, like Francis mentioned earlier.
So why is the NCC not educating people about it? That is a bill, like the noise
why is the WHO not educating people?
Why is the NCC or the government making noise about us, the LGBT?
It has nothing about NDC or NPP. Thank you very much. Can you cut him off? When you come on this show, we are not interested in the politics, okay? When you come on this show, it's pure education. So the question that Ebenezer asks, what will happen to the witches' camp?
That's a very, very good question. I think with the witches' camp, people have said that these are safe havens. Our research shows that they are not safe havens. People have said that the witch doctors are benefactors. Our research shows that they are not. It's like somebody helps to set your house on fire, and then they tell you, come and stay with me, and I will treat your burns. That is not benevolence. So what we are saying is that the witch camps can be, with the law, when the law comes into effect, the government can help resettle these women.
Okay, let's get to Divine in Adenta. First of all, you can't be a witch doctor, you can't be a witch hunter.
Exactly.
So there will not be the source that will supply the...
Exactly. So
okay, Divine, let's hear you. Hello, Divine. Divine, we lost you. Hi, Thomas.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Afternoon.
Go ahead.
Okay. What I want to say about the accusation side is that if you are not a witch, you can't accuse somebody of being a witch. Let's say if you don't have that eye of witch or wizard, you can't see to identify that this person is a witch or a wizard. So that normally people don't start and accuse somebody falsely of being a witch or a wizard. And before they pass that bill, they should go out to the rural area to do a documentary and a research before they can confirm those issues.
All right, thank you very much. The research has already been done. You are only suggesting that the accuser is also guilty. Well, this time, all you need is just make the accusation. If the law is passed, you are in trouble. Abeku, you are calling from Accra. Hello, Abeku.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, first of all, I think that I want to correct something. Somebody called and the host thought he was talking about NDC. I believe that he was talking about NCCE. I believe he said NCCE, not educating, not NDC MPP.
I see. I heard him mention the NPP too or something. All right,
no,
thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. I'm sure the NCCE...
My question is, in the bill, but have you taken note of these radio programs where children are brought on air and asked to confess to having killed people and all that? I've heard that several times on radio stations.
That's
when
even
children,
terrible.
12-year-olds, 10-year-olds are brought on radio and ask to confess that they are witches and they killed their father, they killed their mother, and all those kind of things.
Yeah, that's disaster. And thankfully, if this bill comes to light, then they are also in trouble. I'll take my very last one, and you have just some 30 seconds. Samuel in Bebieni. Hello, Samuel in Bebieni.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, I think somebody. Hello.
Samuel, we are listening to you. Your time is running. 30 seconds.
I think somebody wanted to mention NCC. Maybe you heard the person calling NDC.
Okay, okay. Right. That correction has been done, and we thank you for the correction. And the caller, please forgive me, because I was hearing NDC, and almost all of us were hearing NDC and then MPP. Sorry about that. Okay. So what will be your very final words? Francis, I suppose that the questioning also about the education.
Yes, Samson, it's a very, very important part of this journey, particularly when you are dealing with private culture and religion. Will require a lot of get the citizenry along, particularly those in rural areas where most of these accusations are prevalent. And so I believe that as part of the process, we would work with the Senate Institute and, of course, with the NCCE and see how we can even kickstart some education ahead of even the passing of.
All right. Thank you very much. And unfortunately, also, Francis's line has been very bad. What will be your final words, Professor John Azumah?
Thank you very much. My final word will be that this is going to be a very important, but it's going to be a challenging fight.
Okay.
It is the witchcraft accusation that we're talking about has become a big industry. Many people are making money out of it. And it's not going to be an easy fight. Whether you're talking about churches or pastors or the shrines, people have got vested interest in this. But we need to apply our minds that this is something we are in the 21st century. As I said, Britain passed a law 300 years ago to criminalize this practice. We are 300 years behind, but it is better late than never. And this law will really help with the education. People respond sometimes more to punitive actions, a threat of it, than just education. People don't do things not necessarily because they don't know. Okay. Sometimes they just do it because they are human. Okay. And the law will have to curb those things.
Thank you very much. And obviously, Francis Xavier Sosu and Hajia Ladi Ayamba and Honorable Godfred Honorable Dr. Godfred Seidu Jasau, you have a lot of support within the nation. So far, the messages that are coming in suggest that you have such unflinching support. And we thank the Senate Institute also, Professor John Azumah and his team for helping in this direction. He's the Executive Director, the Senate Institute, and also Francis is MP for Medina. He's also a lawyer. Thank you also very much. Now know that and pray with them just like you are doing for perhaps the anti-gay bill, so that this works, because when it does, all of this, call it inhuman things within our society, will stop. I'm Samson Ladia Yanini. This has been The Law. It's your legal lights and your health law.